Today, we are looking at some basic lighting techniques for film. We will be looking at 3-point lighting and covering lighting ratios. Our setup will be a standard interview against a white backdrop, but the principles of 3-point lighting can be used on any film set to dramatically enhance the quality of your film. 3-point lighting is used to create a realistic, more shaped image for the camera. It consists of 3 lights, hence 3 points. These are key light, the main light in your scene. Fill light. This fills in the shadows where the key light is not reaching. Backlight. This is used to enhance the subject and separate them from the background. So let's see how this works in practice. This is our subject unlit. Using 3-point lighting, we can quickly turn this into a professional looking shot. Let's turn the lights on one by one to see its effect. Key light. Already, we can see a drastic improvement in the quality of image. However, notice that because we are only using one light source, it creates harsh shadows across the right hand side of the face. So to counter this, we add the fill light. It's called the fill light because it literally fills in the shadows. Unless you are shooting a 1:1 ratio, this tends to be less intense than the key light. We will touch on lighting ratios later. If you look at the subject and the background, you notice it's hard to distinguish any distance between them. This is why we need the backlight. With the backlight, we can see the subject now stands out from the white background. So how do we set this up? To set up a 3-point lighting system, you will need 3 lights and a light meter. We are using tungsten lighting, which gives a warm yellow colour. Lights can give off either tungsten light or daylight. It is important to use the same type of lighting for all your lights. Both the key light and the fill lights are set up pointing at the subject from a 45-degree angle. Also notice that they are set higher up than the subject, pointing down. In this example, both lights are set up at the same distance from the subject, and so the same amount of lighting is hitting the subject. This is called a 1:1 lighting ratio. However, we want to create a more dramatic contrast between the key light and the fill light, and to do that, we are going to need an incident light meter. A light meter will measure the intensity of the light around it. We are going to use the key light as our baseline for the contrast ratio. With only the key light on, we will take a light reading. The light meter measures in f-stops. In this instance, the light reading is 5.6. So now that we have the baseline of 5.6 and are happy with it, we can make a decision about the lighting ratio. This requires a little understanding of the f-stop reading. Our key light will always be the brightest light on set. With our light reading of 5.6 from the key light, the fill light has to be a lower reading. Lighting ratios are easy to understand. A ratio of 1 to 2 would be 5.6 as the key light and 4 for the fill light. A ratio of 1.3 would be again 5.6 as the key light and 2.8 for the fill light. For our example, we are going for a lighting ratio of 1 to 4, so we know the fill light has to be less intense than the key light and have a reading of 2. How do we do this? There are a number of ways. Light loses its intensity the further back it is from the subject. If we move the fill light back further, the intensity will decrease. Moving the light to reflect off a surface has 2 effects. 1, it again increases the distance the light has to travel. 2, it diffuses the light, again decreasing intensity. Notice the hard shadow becomes a soft shadow. In this example, we are using a wall, but really any white or light coloured surface would do. Either way, we use the light meter to check that we have the right light intensity. Notice this time we are shielding the meter from the key light with a hand, so we are only measuring the light from the fill light. We could also turn the key light off, but this way is quicker. We have the meter reading we need, and as we can see from the camera, a dramatic contrast between the key light and fill light. Finally, we set up the backlight. The backlight will be placed below, behind and facing upwards to the subject. You are looking to catch the back of the hair and the shoulders of the subject. We have now set up a shot with 3-point lighting, dramatically enhancing the subject and creating depth for the camera.